Good morning and happy Monday. I hope you had a nice weekend. Mine was all right. This Monday, what I'm wondering is whether or not truth is becoming a problem for people, a thorn in their side. So, previously, I've talked about how truth is not in and of itself everything that matters, and there are other things that we need to account for. People will often treat truth with apathy, as if it's an annoyance. But I am starting to see more and more how many people will actually be hostile to truth. They will be hostile to it. Not just apathetic, not just irreverent, but when truth shows up, they get triggered. Or whatever the phrase is now that the kids are using. And it's unfortunate because what it shows is the fruits of the Enlightenment labor, that in an effort to replace God with the natural, the logical, and so on and so forth, that nothing has stepped up. So much effort was placed on getting God out of the throne that once it was accomplished, so to speak, at least in people's individual lives, the celebration never stopped. Yay, we dethroned God. And then nobody thought to put somebody else on that throne. And now everybody's arguing over what replaces God, what replaces truth. It's really spooky. At the place where I work, we have documents that are supposed to describe the process that we follow. So if you want to achieve a certain kind of task, then there are certain steps that you're supposed to take. And this is supposed to be authoritative, like you don't go beyond where you're supposed to be. And if there's a gray area, then you should take into account at least the intent of the document, if the letter doesn't cover for you. But over the past week, at least, on a particular topic, and for more than, I'd say, a year and a half now, on a separate topic, it has been like pulling teeth, trying to get folks to look at those documents at the very clear do if X do Y kind of way that they're written, and to follow it, to adhere to it. I frequently have instances where my assertion that people should follow the document framed under me telling people what to do, which, again, if it were my choice, I wouldn't do the things that are in the document necessarily. I don't always think that they're the most efficient or whatever, but if the document says I do this, then that's what I'm supposed to do, right? I'm supposed to follow the instructions. I'm supposed to understand them, adhere to them, and then I would get the output that's expected, right? Apparently it's wrong, though, because I have a lot of folks trying to use popularity, of all things. What are other people doing? Can you get enough people on your side? Can you convince other people? And it's this amusing sort of twist, given the commentary I've given in the past few weeks about how we interact with truth and how communication and all that kind of stuff plays out. Because what it makes my previous comments sound like is retarded and idealistic and delusional. That while I would like for things other than truth to matter, if we're to the point now where people are just actively resisting truth, if we're, and I'm saying this with full knowledge that I am not the first person to notice any of this stuff, and I'm certainly in no unique position in history, nor do I have any sort of unique perception on things, but, this is just the pace that I'm picking up on stuff. It's fast or slow, it just is what it is. But I'm starting to suspect, I'll say that, I'm starting to suspect that the efforts to add context onto truth are not always genuine. I know. I'm slow in some cases. That the efforts to fight against truth indirectly by trying to contextualize and frame it is not because people don't necessarily understand or because they can't understand, but because they completely understand and are now shopping for ways to get out of the truth, to get away from the truth, to no longer be bound by it. And it's really sad. It's really disappointing. I have to catch myself thinking poorly of other people. And when I do, I immediately try to turn around and pray for them instead. To pray for blessing for them, for understanding and wisdom, for them to turn to Christ and to cry out for help. Not to fester animosity in my own heart, but to ask of God good things for them. Because I don't know why they're doing what they're doing. I have no idea. I don't. And to guess and to then try and like, oh, well, this is why they're trying to, I have no idea. It's completely inappropriate to guess even. All I can say is that they're reacting in a hostile fashion to truth, to things as simple as 2 + 2 = 4. Because the argument is that, well, that's by itself, that might be true, but, when you take it into context, into circumstance, it's bigger than just 2 + 2 = 4. At no point does it seem to occur that as soon as you've stopped that relationship, as soon as 2 + 2 no longer equals 4, you're no longer with the truth. You're no longer in truth. You're not adhering to truth any longer. You're now squarely in the realm of fantasy. There is no circumstance in reality where 2 + 2 no longer equals 4. So if you've got folks that are putting unnecessary burdens on your ability to communicate truth, if people are playing all sorts of political games, and it's not just about them misunderstanding, it's not just about them being apathetic, but they've now advanced to antagonism with respect to truth, I don't know what the next step is, but pray for them. Pray for them. Read scriptures for yourself. Pray for your own circumstances. Pray for God to give you wisdom and guidance. Because we're well outside the territory for where human intellect, where human capacity is going to be able to direct us appropriately going on into the future. We're well past the point where we can just figure it out on our own. And we need divine help in order to get through this stuff. Because, again, if people are against truth, they are ultimately against God. And we need to make sure that we are with God if we are going to stand. Because if we try and do it on our own, by our own strength, it's not going to happen. It's not going to work. So, be in prayer. Be reading the scriptures. Be understanding of how people have interacted in their relationship with God in the past. It's a great way to look at the Old Testament as examples of this is what people tried and how it worked out. And the New Testament gives us guidelines on the heart condition, the motivation that we should have when we approach choices now. In that while in the New Testament God is nowhere near as explicit on details as he was in the Old for every aspect of life, he's still hitting on the important stuff, the heart condition, the motivation. Where do we go when we need help? And we should be going to Jesus Christ. And if he's not even able to help, then I guess there is a place where people who have rejected truth until the day they die will end up. And we know that nobody escapes judgment. Nothing that anybody is doing is going to go without a consequence, whether in this life or the next. So we should just focus on preaching truth, connecting and having fellowship with folks, teaching those who don't understand, being patient with those who are difficult, but ultimately knowing that there are going to be some who just are hostile to truth, hostile to God, who are never going to change, who are never going to listen. And it's not our job to do something about them. It's our job to pray, to submit that circumstance up to God and let him choose how to move forward. Thanks for your time. Have a great Monday. Bye-bye. God bless.